Most men believe attraction begins with looks. They're wrong. Others believe it's about money. Wrong again. And then there are the men who spend hours memorizing pickup lines, hoping the next clever sentence will finally make someone fall for them. But here's what they never realize. The most attractive men rarely try to impress anyone. Instead, they communicate in a way that makes people feel something, not because they're manipulating emotions, but because every word they speak carries clarity, confidence, and intention. Today, I'm going to show you 2 simple phrases that quietly separate ordinary men from high-value men. These aren't magic words. They're a reflection of a mindset, and once you understand them, you'll never communicate the same way again. Because attraction isn't created by saying more, it's created by saying the right things, at the right time, with the right energy. The silent difference between boys and men. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that some men can walk into a room without saying much, and yet everyone seems drawn toward them? They're not the loudest. They're not showing off expensive watches every 5 minutes. They're not desperately trying to prove their worth. So why do they stand out? Because confidence doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself. Most men enter conversations trying to earn approval. High-value men enter conversations already comfortable with who they are. That single difference changes everything. Here's a real-life example. Imagine 2 men meeting the same woman at a rooftop event. The first man spends the entire conversation trying to impress her. He talks about his business, his car, his vacations, his achievements. Every sentence is secretly asking one question. The second man is different. He asks thoughtful questions. He listens. He smiles naturally. He never rushes to prove anything. By the end of the night, guess who she remembers? Not the man with the longest resume. The man who made the conversation feel effortless. Because people don't remember information. They remember emotional experiences. And that's exactly where the first phrase comes in. Phrase number 1. I want. Simple, direct, confident. Most men hide behind uncertainty. Maybe we could hang out someday. If you're not busy, only if you want to. Notice what's happening. They're apologizing ... before they've even asked. Now compare that with this. I want to take you to this amazing Italian restaurant next weekend. I want to hear more about your travel stories. I want to see you again. Do you feel the difference? The words aren't louder. They're simply clearer. Clarity is attractive because it removes confusion. And confident men don't hide what they genuinely want. That doesn't mean you always get a yes. It means you're honest enough to accept whatever answer comes. That's real confidence. Not certainty of success, but comfort with uncertainty. A lesson most men learn too late. Several years ago, I watched 2 close friends ask out to different women. The first spent 3 weeks sending funny memes, reacting to every story, waiting for the perfect moment. That moment never came. The second man enjoyed one great conversation. At the end, he smiled and simply said, I want to take you out for coffee this Saturday. No pressure, no games, no rehearsed speech. She smiled and said yes. Why? Not because of the sentence itself. Because confidence is easier to trust than hesitation. People respond to certainty far more than cleverness. But here's where almost every man makes a mistake. He becomes so focused on expressing what he wants that he completely forgets to make the other person feel seen. And that's why the second phrase changes everything. The power behind I want. Now, let's talk about the first phrase. I want ... At first, it sounds almost too simple. How could 2 ordinary words make such a difference? Because the words themselves aren't powerful. The mindset behind them is. Most men spend their lives trying not to be rejected, so they hide their intentions behind uncertainty. Instead of saying, I want to take you out this weekend, they say, maybe, if you're free, we could do something sometime, It sounds harmless, but hidden inside those words is fear. Fear of hearing no, fear of being judged, fear of looking too interested. And here's the irony ... The more you hide your intentions, the less confident you appear. A story you'll see everywhere. Imagine 2 successful men walking into the same luxury hotel lounge. Both are well dressed. Both are financially successful. Both notice the same woman reading a book near the window. The first man spends 15 minutes convincing himself to walk over. He keeps thinking, asterisk, what if she isn't interested? Asterisk, maybe she's waiting for someone. Asterisk, what if I embarrass myself? Asterisk, eventually, he says nothing. He leaves with only another what if. Now look at the second man. He walks over with a relaxed smile, not because he's fearless, but because he has nothing to prove. He simply says, asterisk, hi, I noticed the book you're reading. I've heard great things about it. Asterisk, a short conversation begins. After a few minutes, he smiles and says, asterisk, I've enjoyed talking with you. I want to continue this over coffee sometime. Asterisk, that's it. No rehearsed speech, no fake confidence, no performance, just honesty. Whether she says yes or no, he leaves exactly the same man he was before, because his confidence never depended on her answer. And that's the difference. High-value men don't chase validation. They express intention. Here's what most men never understand. Confidence isn't speaking louder. Confidence isn't dominating conversations. Confidence isn't acting like you don't care. Real confidence is incredibly quiet. It's being completely comfortable saying what you genuinely mean, without apologizing for it, without trying to control the outcome, without pretending to be someone else. People trust certainty, not perfection. Think about this. Have you ever met someone who always knew exactly what they wanted? Not in an arrogant way, just calmly. They ordered food without changing their mind 5 times. They made decisions quickly. They spoke clearly. They never looked around the room for approval before finishing a sentence. Did you notice something? Being around them felt relaxing, because certainty creates emotional stability, and people naturally enjoy being around emotionally stable individuals. The biggest mistake men make. This is where almost everyone goes wrong. After hearing advice about confidence, they start acting confident. They copy someone else's body language. They memorize clever lines. They pretend to be mysterious. But confidence isn't a performance. The moment you start acting, people stop connecting with the real you. Imagine wearing a suit that's 2 sizes too big. No matter how expensive it is, it never feels natural. Fake confidence works exactly the same way. Real confidence fits, because it's built on self-respect, not on trying to impress strangers. A lesson from the world's most successful men. If you study successful entrepreneurs, elite athletes, or respected leaders, you'll notice something interesting. They rarely speak more than necessary. When they make a decision, they say it once, clearly, then they move forward. No over-explaining, no begging for agreement, no endless justifications. That same principle applies to attraction. The less you seek approval, the more authentic your presence becomes. But there's one more piece. Imagine spending an entire conversation talking only about what you want. Asterisk, I want this ... Asterisk. Asterisk, I want that ... Asterisk. Asterisk, I want to see you again. Asterisk. Eventually, it begins to sound self-centered, because attraction isn't only about expressing desire. It's also about making another person feel understood. And that's where the second phrase changes everything. It's the difference between someone who simply wants your attention and someone who truly values your presence. In the next part, we'll talk about 2 words that create a deeper, emotional connection than almost any compliment ever could. Because high-value men don't just express interest, they make people feel genuinely appreciated.